From Lebanon by Dr. Nader Ghazal, the chairman of the African Asian Council for AI and Cybersecurity. Dr. Ghazal, welcome to In Focus. Now, with new giants like ChatGPT 5.6 and Claude Mythos pushing cheaper token usage, are we prioritizing corporate profit now over true artificial general intelligence?
Good evening, Mr. Hani, to you and to the respected viewers. I'm delighted to be here, first of all. Secondly, well, in fact, there is a difference between ChatGPT 5.6 Cyber and Claude Mythos or even Claude Fable. They are two different entities serving two main purposes. ChatGPT is focused more on 5.6, focused more on cybersecurity. So it's more into security, more into, closing or narrowing down the possibilities of ransomware or any hacking. Meanwhile, Claude Mythos is more into research and more into tracking how attackers or hackers can get to our systems. Fable is a bit, it's a fable, so it's between the two. But as a matter of fact, I liked so much the introduction that you mentioned. Yes, we are at a crossroad where it's a challenge between us, between humanity rather, and AI. Will we shape AI the way that we like it to enjoy our future, or will AI shape us to be part of the algorithm that is created by AI? I think that's the big question. And as you've gone through in the introduction, talking about the youth and talking about the education, I think we can never rely on a black box. And especially, before the deep machine learning, that was 2011, we were enjoying, those who are technical, we were enjoying AI with the machine learning. But after 2011, we started with the deep machine learning. This is where we started. We are starting to have a black box where we don't know exactly how the machine is thinking and how is it getting into the results or the responses that it's given us. So indeed, part of our responsibility is in education is to make sure that this is a process. It's not a conclusion. This is a support to the educators. It's a support to the students, but it's never giving the solutions to either or. And indeed, what we need for that matter, we need high transparency when we talk about putting the algorithms for educational AI, as well as usually we talk about ethical AI, responsible AI, useful AI. Now, I would like to add something very important: secured AI. We need, at this point of time, we need to talk about the secured AI. So this is a fourth criteria that we need to handle carefully nowadays.
Well, we will be talking more about human agency and independent thought a bit later, but let's talk first about the cost of it all. I mean, insiders are accelerating AGI timelines. How can we ensure that developing nations can afford these massive, costly leaps in AI capability without falling into a digital debt trap?
Mr. Hani, in fact, I was in one of those UN developing countries summits talking about AI, and I mentioned it very clearly. I said AI is an opportunity for the underdeveloped countries as compared to the developing countries because to the developed countries, because of the fact that all what you need with AI, you're not talking about heavy machines, you're not talking about heavy industry, we're talking about innovative people, smart brains and some technology. Having said this, I think at this point of time, what we need is to have bold moves towards partnership with those big tech companies, those magnificent seven, partnership with countries, and as well as try to do the technology transfer to the countries of the South, be it Africa, be it Asia, or any other place in the globe, to make sure that we will not be colonized by the infrastructure of AI or by the algorithm. So, just to get away from the fact that we may have colonized countries by algorithms or by data. Okay, so what we need, in one word, we need to do a technology transfer. We need to do strong partnerships, as well as building homeland capabilities, national capabilities, opening data centers. I will be talking about privacy as well, but building our own sovereign data centers, building our own skills inside our countries.
Well, speaking of our countries, Meta's new Iris chips, they aim to break NVIDIA's monopoly. But will this hardware arms race leave Africa and Asia further behind in the Silicon era?
Well, in fact, that's a big challenge as well, But I think these companies. I mean, you don't blame them. These are profit machines. They are profit-making, responsible companies. So they are after making money. That's why, in fact, we technical people, we are getting really tired by following up on the every week. For example, this week we had three new launching of Grok from XAI, the launching of Meta's Iris Muse, as well as the ChatGPT 5.6, and we have on top of that the Chinese GLM 5.2. Look at this. This landscape that we're facing. There is a lot of developments, and I think they are starting to realize that the challenge is not anymore on the capability alone, but also on the capability and on the profitability, which is good. Because this will make them maybe think twice about making something super powerful, okay, and forget about the humans, forget about the decision making, as well as, of course, forgetting about profitability. So this challenge, this competition between the Magnificent Seven, I think it will, come down to a point where Africa, Asia, and all of the developing countries or the underdeveloped countries will have the chance to go there and work on their own infrastructure for AI stack in general.
Well, how far are we from local edge computing infrastructure to avoid merely becoming data consumers rather than AI creators?
I don't think that we can, have a bar and say these are below and these are after. It's a grayish zone, I would say. We have some countries that are doing great paces towards, embracing and adopting new technologies. And I'll give you two examples from the Arab countries. On top of them, of course, is the UAE and Saudi Arabia. They are building their own data centers. They are working on their own, assembly lines for microchips, as well as building their innovative centers and building on the national capabilities, which is good. On the other hand, yes, of course, there are many many countries that are far, and the farther you become, the more you may become a slave of data in the new world of digital colonization. So it's a challenge that every country, has to take a decision, and the earlier, the better it is, of course.
Well, AI is entering classrooms now, and you've mentioned the black box dilemma. How can we solve it when we cannot see how these systems make life-changing educational decisions?
Well, myself, I'm an educator, so I always encourage my students to go ahead and use AI, but I always say use it. Don't let it abuse your brain. Don't let it abuse your thinking process, But one of the good things about AI is, it promotes more and more the critical thinking, the innovative thinking, the lateral thinking, when you think about the solution and say, okay, let me see another solution. So first of all, there is a responsibility on the educators themselves. They have to be well aware of the technology and well aware of the use of the technology. That's on one hand. And on the other hand, of course, there is the role of the legislators. The policymakers. They should draw a bar and say, okay, from now on, students cannot use AI more than this step forward. At the same time, there is also a responsibility from the side of the developers of AI. They have to put the algorithms very clear about, as I said earlier in the interview, that no black boxes. We need to understand with all transparency, with full hands-on the algorithm, how AI came up with to those answers and to those solutions. Besides the fact that we need to build in our students the critical thinking. Being a bit skeptical at this time of age, I think, is good.
Well, AI is soon improving its own intelligence beyond human control. So, what immediate cybersecurity shields must African and Asian nations, well, really the world, build today? I mean, are we ignoring this massive environmental and social costs of AI data centers, risking a severe AI hangover for our future generations?
Well, I think regardless of the cybersecurity issues, let's start with this. We need to build our own sovereign data centers. We need to build our own AI stack. All of the algorithms, data centers, chips, everything. We need to, as much as we can, we need to have our own homeland-made products. That's on one hand. On the other hand, when it comes to cybersecurity, in fact, we are, having a big challenge with those ransom companies and with those hacking companies, that the attackers now, and especially with the age of agentic AI, the attackers now, they are using the same level of expertise, and maybe in some areas more advanced than the defenders, and this is a high risk issue. And early last June, we heard about the hacking and the ransom hacking that happened to the Central Bank of Libya. So this may happen to any other bank, to any other institution, and it will, topple down the whole economy if you lose the trust of your economic system, of your banking system. So what we need to do, of course, build our own cybersecurity systems. And with agentic AI, well, I'm more towards being optimistic, I would say. I always say the 80-20 rule applies here. We have 80% of the people are good, meanwhile 20% of the people could be bad. So which means those who are developing the cybersecurity systems, I'm sure that they will have on the defender side the proper tools to defend from the attackers.
Hopefully so. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Nader Ghazal, the chairman of the African Asian Council for AI and Cyber Security. Dr. Ghazal, thank you very much for your analysis. Now let's